That Saturday evening in March was supposed to be the most magical night of my life. I had spent months planning every detail of our engagement party at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. The champagne was chilled, the flowers were perfect, and my heart was absolutely bursting with joy. Marcus and I were finally celebrating our future together, surrounded by everyone we loved most. My little sister Sophia was going to be my maid of honor, and I could not have been more excited to share this moment with my family. Everything seemed absolutely perfect, but sometimes perfection is just an illusion waiting to shatter. Before I tell you what happened that night, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. Please hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories like this one. Now, let me take you back to what should have been the happiest night of my life. 3 years ago, I met Marcus Thompson at the law firm where I worked as a paralegal in Denver. He was this incredibly successful corporate attorney from a wealthy family, the kind of man who wore $1,000 suits and drove a BMW that cost more than most people make in a year. When he first walked into our office building, every woman turned to look. He was tall, probably 6 feet 2 inches, with dark hair and these piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through you. Marcus swept me off my feet in ways I never thought possible. He would surprise me with weekend trips to Aspen dinners at the most exclusive restaurants in the city, and flowers delivered to my desk just because it was Tuesday. Last winter, he proposed to me on a mountaintop in Aspen during a snowstorm, getting down on one knee with a 3-carat diamond ring that sparkled like the snow around us. I said yes without hesitation, already imagining our wedding planned for June and our honeymoon across Europe. But my relationship with my sister Sophia had always been complicated. She was 2 years younger than me, 24 to my 26, and she had always been the golden child in our family. Where I was practical and studious, Sophia was artistic and free-spirited. She studied fine arts at the University of Colorado and lived this bohemian lifestyle that our parents, Robert and Patricia, absolutely adored. They funded her art supplies, her studio apartment, and her frequent trips to art galleries across the country. Growing up, I was always the one who had to give up things for Sophia. If we both wanted the same toy, I had to let her have it because she was younger. If we both liked the same dress at the store, Sophia got it because it looked better on her. Even in high school, when we both had crushes on the same boy, I was expected to step aside because Sophia was more delicate and needed protecting. I learned early that keeping peace in our family meant putting Sophia first. Recently, though, something about Sophia had changed. Ever since Marcus and I got engaged, she had been asking strange questions about him. She wanted to know about his work schedule, his favorite restaurants, what kind of music he liked. At first, I thought she was just being a caring sister trying to get to know my future husband better. But then I started noticing how often she would find excuses to be around when Marcus came over. During our family dinners, Sophia would always manage to sit next to Marcus, asking him about his cases and laughing just a little too hard at his jokes. Sometimes I would come back from the kitchen with drinks and find them deep in conversation that would suddenly stop when I approached. Marcus would clear his throat and change the subject while Sophia would give me this innocent smile that made me feel like I was imagining things. The planning for our engagement party had consumed my life for the past 2 months. I wanted everything to be absolutely perfect for our announcement to the world. I had chosen the Ritz-Carlton because it was where Marcus had taken me for our first anniversary dinner. The ballroom could hold 150 people, and I had decorated it with white roses and gold accents that matched my engagement ring. I had bought a navy blue silk dress that cost me 2 months of salary, but I wanted to look stunning for Marcus. My grandmother had given me her pearl necklace and matching earrings, family heirlooms that had been worn by 3 generations of women in our family. Everything felt like a fairy tale coming together. When Sophia offered to help with the decorations, I was grateful for the support. She had such an artistic eye, and I trusted her to make everything look beautiful. Marcus had also volunteered to arrive early to help set up chairs and check that the sound system was working properly. I thought it was sweet how much effort they were both putting in to make our night special. But even during the setup, I noticed small things that made me uncomfortable. Marcus and Sophia seemed to communicate without words, moving around each other in the ballroom like they had some sort of choreographed dance. When I suggested moving the gift table to a different location, they both immediately disagreed and suggested the same alternative spot. It felt like they had discussed this beforehand, but when could they have had that conversation? The party began at 7:30 in the evening, and the ballroom looked absolutely magical. The white roses I had chosen were arranged in tall glass vases on each table, surrounded by flickering candles that cast a warm glow across the room. A jazz quartet played softly in the corner, creating the perfect background music for conversation and celebration. The champagne fountain sparkled under the crystal chandelier, and I felt like I was living in a dream. Guests began arriving in their finest clothes, and I felt so proud, introducing Marcus to friends from college who had never met him before. My best friends Sarah Chen and Amanda Rodriguez had flown in from California just for this party, and seeing them again made everything feel even more special. Sarah worked as a marketing director in Los Angeles, while Amanda was finishing her medical residency in San Francisco. We had been roommates at the University of Denver, and they knew me better than anyone else in the world. Marcus looked incredibly handsome in his charcoal gray suit and silver tie, working the room like the natural politician he was destined to become. He had mentioned wanting to run for district attorney someday, and watching him charm everyone from my elderly great aunt to my college friends, I could see that future clearly. My parents beamed with pride as they introduced their future son in law to relatives who had driven in from all over Colorado and Wyoming. The catering was flawless, with servers passing around shrimp cocktail beef tenderloin and the chocolate covered strawberries I had specifically requested because they were Marcus's favorite. Everyone seemed to be having a wonderful time, and I should have been floating on cloud nine. Instead, I found myself constantly scanning the room, looking for Marcus and Sophia. About an hour into the party, I realized that both of them had disappeared from the main ballroom. I asked my mother, Patricia, if she had seen them, and she mentioned that Sophia had gone to the bathroom to fix her makeup. When I looked for Marcus, his law partner told me he had stepped outside to take an important phone call. Their absences seemed innocent enough, but something in my gut told me to pay attention. When they returned separately about 15 minutes later, I noticed small details that made my stomach clench with anxiety. Sophia's lipstick was completely gone, and she kept touching her hair like she was trying to fix it. Marcus had missed a button on his shirt, so the whole front was slightly crooked, and he seemed flustered in a way that was completely unlike his usual composed self. Sarah noticed my distraction and pulled me aside near the bar. "Is everything okay? You seem tense for someone celebrating her engagement." I tried to brush off her concern, but Sarah had known me for 8 years and could read my moods like a book. "Your sister and Marcus seem pretty comfortable with each other," she observed quietly. "How long have they known each other?" Her question hit me like a slap because I realized I did not have a good answer. Marcus had been coming to family dinners for over a year, but when had he and Sophia become so friendly, I started watching them more carefully throughout the evening, and what I saw made my engagement ring feel heavy on my finger. They never stood next to each other, but they always seemed to be aware of where the other person was in the room. When Marcus laughed at someone's joke, Sophia would look over at him with this secret smile. When Sophia was talking to my uncle about her art, Marcus would glance in her direction every few seconds. It was like they were having their own private party within my engagement celebration. By 10:30, most of the older guests had started to leave, but the party was still going strong with my friends and Marcus's colleagues from the law firm. The jazz quartet had been replaced by a DJ playing more contemporary music, and some people had started dancing near the back of the ballroom. I was talking to my cousin Jennifer about wedding venue options when I realized I had not seen either Marcus or Sophia for at least 20 minutes. I walked through the entire ballroom, checking the bar area, the dance floor, and even the hallway outside the restrooms. Neither of them was anywhere to be found. When I asked Marcus's best friend David where he had gone, David just shrugged and said Marcus had mentioned needing some air. When I asked my mother about Sophia, she said my sister had complained of a headache and gone upstairs to rest in the suite our family had booked for the night. That was when everything clicked into place with horrible clarity. Our family had reserved the penthouse suite on the 12th floor so that we could have a place to store gifts and change clothes if needed. It was a beautiful two-bedroom suite with a living area and a spectacular view of downtown Denver. If Sophia was really resting there because of a headache, she would be in one of the bedrooms. And if Marcus was really just getting air, he would be on the hotel's outdoor terrace, not in a guest room. My hands were shaking as I got into the elevator and pressed the button for the 12th floor. The ride up seemed to take forever, and I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears louder than the soft jazz music playing in the elevator. Part of me hoped desperately that I was wrong, that I would find the suite empty or discover Sophia genuinely sleeping off a headache. But deep down, I already knew what I was going to find. The penthouse suite was at the end of a long, carpeted hallway, lit by elegant wall sconces that cast soft shadows on the burgundy walls. I had the key card in my purse because I was supposed to be in charge of making sure gifts got safely transported there throughout the evening. As I approached the door, I could hear voices coming from inside, muffled but definitely recognizable. I heard Marcus's deep laugh, the one he usually reserved for moments when we were alone together, and he was completely relaxed. Then I heard Sophia's voice softer and more intimate than I had ever heard her speak before. They were not having a casual conversation. This was something private, something that excluded the rest of the world. My hand trembled as I slid the key card into the lock and heard the soft click of the mechanism releasing. I pushed the door open just a crack, hoping against hope that I would see them sitting on the couch having an innocent conversation about wedding planning or family dynamics. Instead, what I saw destroyed everything I thought I knew about the two people I loved most in the world. Marcus and Sophia were on the king-sized bed in the master bedroom, and there was no mistaking what they were doing. Her navy blue bridesmaid dress was crumpled on the floor next to his suit jacket and tie. They were so focused on each other that they had not heard me enter the suite, and for a moment I just stood there in the doorway, unable to process what my eyes were seeing. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow to the chest. This was not a moment of weakness or a spontaneous mistake. The way they moved together, the familiarity of their touches, the comfortable silence between them made it clear that this had been going on for a while. My fiancé and my baby sister had been having an affair probably for months, while I planned our engagement party and dreamed about our future together. When the door clicked shut behind me, they finally realized they were no longer alone. Sophia screamed and scrambled to pull the bedsheets up to cover herself. Marcus jumped up so quickly that he nearly fell off the bed, his face turning pale as he saw me standing there in my beautiful navy dress with my grandmother's pearls around my neck. Layla, wait, let me explain. Marcus started reaching for his pants and trying to put them on while talking. This is not what it looks like. Well, it is what it looks like, but it is not what you think. I mean, it just happened. We did not plan this. But his words sounded hollow and desperate because everything about their behavior proved that this was exactly what I thought it was. Sophia was crying now, huge tears streaming down her face as she clutched the sheet to her chest. I'm so sorry, Layla. I never meant for this to happen. I tried to stay away from him, but we just have this connection. I stood there looking at them for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. My 3-carat engagement ring suddenly felt like it weighed 50 pounds on my finger. The sounds of my own engagement party were floating up from the ballroom 12 floors below, where my friends and family were celebrating a future that had just been completely destroyed. How long? I asked, surprised by how calm my voice sounded when everything inside me was screaming. Sophia hiccuped and looked at Marcus, clearly hoping he would answer for her. When he remained silent, she whispered, "Since Christmas dinner." When you went to get dessert from the kitchen, we started talking, and there was just this spark. We tried to ignore it, but every time we saw each other after that, Christmas dinner. That was 3 months ago. For 3 months, while I had been planning our engagement party and looking at wedding dresses and dreaming about our honeymoon in Europe, my fiancé had been sleeping with my sister. While I had been worrying about seating charts and flower arrangements, they had been sneaking around behind my back, probably laughing about how oblivious I was. I pulled the engagement ring off my finger and dropped it onto the carpeted floor between the bed and the dresser. The sound it made was small and insignificant, nothing like the dramatic gesture I had imagined in movies. You two deserve each other, I said, and walked out of the suite without looking back. The elevator ride back down to the ballroom felt like descending into hell. I could see my reflection in the polished metal doors, and I looked like a ghost. My face was completely white, and my hands were shaking so badly that I had to clasp them together in front of me to make them stop. By the time the doors opened on the main floor, I had managed to compose my expression into something that might pass for normal if no one looked too closely. But Sarah took one look at me and immediately knew something was catastrophically wrong. She excused herself from her conversation with one of Marcus's law partners and grabbed my arm. What happened? You look like you have seen a ghost. Before I could answer, my parents appeared at my side. My mother, Patricia, took one look at my face and demanded, "Where have you been? People have been asking for you and Marcus. You cannot just disappear from your own engagement party." "Where are Marcus and Sophia?" my father, Robert, added, looking around the ballroom as if they might materialize if he searched hard enough. That was when I lost control. "Marcus and Sophia are upstairs in the penthouse suite," I said loudly enough that several nearby conversations stopped. "They are in bed together. They have been having an affair since Christmas, and I just walked in on them." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, and Amanda, who had been approaching our group, stopped dead in her tracks. My parents stared at me like I had just announced that I was from another planet. "You must be mistaken," my mother said firmly. "Sophia would never do something like that. She adores you, and Marcus loves you. You're getting married in 3 months." But even as she spoke, we all turned toward the ballroom entrance and saw Marcus and Sophia emerging from the elevator. Sophia had clearly been crying, her makeup completely ruined and her hair a mess. Marcus's shirt was wrinkled and his tie was missing. They looked exactly like what they were, two people who had been caught in bed together. Standing in the middle of my engagement party with everyone staring at me, I realized I had a choice to make. I could try to minimize the situation, pretend it was a misunderstanding, and attempt to salvage what was left of the evening. Or I could tell the truth and let everyone see exactly what kind of people Marcus and Sophia really were. I walked over to the DJ booth and asked him to turn off the music and give me the microphone. The entire ballroom fell silent as 123 guests turned to look at me, standing alone in my navy blue dress under the sparkling chandelier. "Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate what we thought was going to be the beginning of Marcus and my life together," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system. "Unfortunately, there has been a change of plans. There will not be a wedding in June because my fiancé and my sister have decided they are better suited for each other. I hope you enjoyed the party." I handed the microphone back to the DJ, walked through the stunned crowd, and left the ballroom without looking back. Behind me, I could hear the explosion of shocked conversations and my mother calling my name, but I did not stop walking until I reached my car in the hotel parking garage. The 20-minute drive back to my apartment felt like the longest journey of my life. I had shared that apartment with Marcus for the past year, and every single thing I saw reminded me of our relationship. His coffee mug was still in the sink from that morning. His running shoes were by the front door. His law books were scattered across the dining room table where he had been working on a case the night before. I spent the rest of that night packing everything that belonged to Marcus into cardboard boxes. His clothes, his books, his expensive watch collection, even the coffee maker he had bought because he said mine made terrible coffee. By sunrise, his entire presence had been erased from my apartment, and all of his belongings were stacked neatly by the front door. The next morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day canceling everything related to our wedding. The venue, the caterer, the flowers, the photographer, the band, the honeymoon reservations in Rome and Paris. Each phone call cost me money and cancellation fees, but I did not care. The financial loss was nothing compared to the emotional devastation of discovering that the person I thought I was going to marry had been cheating on me with my own sister. Sarah and Amanda came over that afternoon with ice cream and wine, and we spent hours going through every detail of Marcus's behavior over the past few months. Looking back, there had been so many signs that I had chosen to ignore. The way he always volunteered to help when Sophia needed something, moved or fixed in her apartment. The way he would check his phone constantly during our dates and claim it was work emails. The way he had suddenly become interested in contemporary art and started suggesting we visit galleries where Sophia might be showing her work. "I should have seen this coming," I told them as we sat on my living room floor surrounded by empty pizza boxes and tissues. All the signs were there. "Do not blame yourself for trusting the people you loved," Amanda said firmly. What they did is not your fault. You are not responsible for their choices. But even as my friends supported me, I was dreading the inevitable confrontation with my family. My parents had been calling and texting nonstop since the party, demanding that I come home to discuss the situation. Finally, on Tuesday evening, I drove to their house in the suburbs prepared for the worst conversation of my life. What I found was somehow even more painful than I had expected. My parents were sitting in the living room with Marcus and Sophia, and all four of them looked up when I walked in like I was the one who had done something wrong. We have been talking about this situation, my father Robert said, without any greeting or acknowledgement of how I might be feeling. Marcus explained that he and Sophia developed feelings for each other, but they never meant to hurt you. They want to make this work, my mother Patricia added. Marcus is a good man from a good family, and we think you should consider whether you want to destroy 3 relationships over one mistake. I stared at them in complete disbelief. 3 relationships? What about my relationship? What about the fact that I was supposed to marry him in 3 months? You can find someone else, Sophia said quietly, speaking for the first time since I'd entered the room. But Marcus and I have this deep connection that we cannot ignore. We tried to fight it, but love does not follow rules. Marcus nodded earnestly, reaching over to take Sophia's hand. I do care about you, Layla, but what Sophia and I have is something special. I hope someday you can understand and even be happy for us. That was the moment I realized that my family had chosen sides, and they had not chosen me. They were more concerned with maintaining their relationship with Marcus and his wealthy family than they were with supporting their daughter, who had been betrayed and humiliated. I want all of you to listen very carefully, I said, standing up and looking each of them in the eye. I will not pretend that this betrayal did not happen. I will not smile and play happy families while my sister marries the man who was supposed to be my husband. And I will not allow you to make me feel guilty for refusing to participate in this ridiculous fantasy. I walked out of their house and did not look back. Over the next few days, I made arrangements to transfer to a different law firm in Portland, Oregon. I had visited Portland once during college and loved the city's culture and natural beauty. It seemed like the perfect place to start over far away from Denver and all the memories associated with my former life. The process of rebuilding my life took months of hard work and determination. I found a small apartment in the Pearl District with exposed brick walls and large windows that let in lots of natural light. I started taking yoga classes and discovered that I loved the meditative aspects of the practice. I learned to cook for one, exploring farmers markets and trying recipes from different cultures. Most importantly, I began to rediscover who I was when I was not trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect sister, or the perfect fiancé. I had spent so many years accommodating other people's needs and expectations that I had lost touch with my own dreams and desires. 6 months after moving to Portland, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. Marcus and Sophia were getting married at the same church where I had been baptized, and they wanted me to know that I was welcome to attend. I threw the invitation directly into the garbage without reading past the first line. A year after that terrible engagement party, I was promoted to senior paralegal at my new firm and began dating a kind environmental lawyer named Jonathan, who treated me with the respect and honesty I had never received from Marcus. My life in Portland was peaceful and fulfilling in ways I had never experienced before. Looking back now, I can see that discovering Marcus and Sophia together was the best thing that ever happened to me, even though it was also the most painful. If I had married Marcus, I would have spent my life with someone who was capable of betraying me with my own sister. I would have remained trapped in a family dynamic that prioritized keeping peace over protecting the innocent. Instead, I learned that betrayal does not define you, but how you respond to it absolutely does. I learned that sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who set you free from a life that was never really meant for you. And I learned that the worst thing that happens to you can become the foundation for building something infinitely better. Some of you watching this might be going through your own betrayal right now, and I want you to know that it is possible to come out stronger on the other side. The pain feels overwhelming at first, but it does fade, and what replaces it is a clarity and strength you never knew you possessed. Let me know in the comments below if you have ever had to rebuild your life after a betrayal and how you found the strength to move forward. Please hit that like button if this story resonated with you and subscribe to hear more real stories about overcoming life's biggest challenges. Share this video with anyone who might need to hear that they can survive the unthinkable and build something beautiful from the ashes. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember that your worth is not determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself when everything falls apart. You are stronger than you know, and your future is still waiting for you to write it.